What's going on to all of my Capricorns? Let's get into it. So you have the Two of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace of Swords, the Eight of Wands, the Eight of Swords, the Seven of Wands, the Four of Wands, the Five of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands, and the Chariot for you Capricorn. So this is the yearly 2023 breakdown or overview that I normally do every year. So for 2023, you have the Two of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Swords. This is about the type of relationships that you are going to build, or the type of relationships that you are building, Capricorn. The Two of Swords represents there is a need to do like what Saturn is supposed to do, create healthy forms of boundaries so that you can actually learn to start having more fun. See, a lot of people don't understand, like I said, people don't understand Saturn. They don't get it. Saturn is supposed to help build boundaries, right? Because Saturn represents distinction, the ability to understand the differences between things, between different things, people, ideas. So Saturn creates that boundary line because if everything was thought of as one thing, there would be no form of definition. Therefore, there would be no form of enjoyment. Eating a sandwich would be just the same as looking at the sky because seen as the it would be seen as literally the same thing. Oh, you know, so Saturn represents creating limitations so that one can essentially figure out where the limitations are in certain aspects or certain areas of their life and learn to break it. And there comes the fun. There comes the rebellion, right? Because Saturn is right. So the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords represents now that you've learned to create those healthy boundaries, what comes next? Well, what comes next after that is the enjoyment of understanding how to just learn to relax, learn to build relationships. The Ace of Pentacles, learn to create relationships, attachments, you know, some form of attachments, benevolent, healthy attachments to others, and learning how to create that relationship. Ace of Swords, learn how to also be somewhat antagonistic to those relationships. See, a lot of times people don't understand. So let me go ahead and break it down for you. Some of the most powerful connections that I have ever created in my entire life started out from being antagonistic, or the person being antagonistic with me first. It most of the times, most of the times, it was not based upon them being all friends and with open arms at first. It actually turned into the opposite. If the person was open arms at first and just let me embrace you with a big hug, they actually became an enemy. If the person started out as an enemy and being somewhat antagonistic or very antagonistic, we actually became the closest of allies. My best friend of 25 years, going on 26 years, started out as antagonistic. So the idea of learning how to build those relationships, being playful in that regard of learning how to build it, and also learning how to be somewhat antagonistic, not so antagonistic to the point where you have a falling out with the same people who you call your friends, your allies, but being antagonistic to where it encourages people, it encourages the interaction or the relationship between you Capricorns and the other person to actually grow. See, because a lot of times too, when people say that they want a relationship, you also have to take into consideration as to what type of relationship they want. A lot of times, and this is where a lot of people end up getting caught up severely, they end up having delusional problems with this. It's they have the mentality and the notion of they want to be in a relationship, but they want to be in a relationship where the person just does this and it's on the cool. No, that's not what a healthy relationship is. The re- a relationship is supposed to help you evolve. And sometimes what evolution means, what becoming excellent, what becoming refined means is not going to be enjoyable sometimes. Sometimes you're going to be annoyed about it. So so in essence, and I'm not trying to make it a they them, but those people who try to make it seem like that's over comfort is what it is that they want. That's not something that you should, not saying that you couldn't get it or you won't get it, but that's not something that you ideally should be going after. So the thing is that the Eight of Wands and the Eight of Swords, two eight cards, represents that element of building and excommunicating, but at the same time, you Capricorns taking a more hands-on approach, a more hands-on approach, a more take charge approach in the sense that in the sense that in the context of love, and this is something that a lot of earth signs have a problem with. Virgo too, earth signs in general have a problem with the idea that we don't take our relationships as far as romantic relationships quite seriously, in the sense that a lot of times, right, what will happen is that we'll put everything else before we put our romantic relationships and our own personal desires. And that's cool to a certain extent if you're trying to resist against a certain thing that gives you a form of protection. While at the same time, though, right, while at the same time, though, you can engage from a perspective that is correct for you. It just depends on what you're into. And for you Capricorns, the tarot cards is showing me that it's probably a good idea for you to become more hands-on with your approach when it comes to finding love. Excuse me. Excuse me. So and the reason why is because this is a situation for you where, you know, yes, it's going to be a difficult year when it comes to romances, but it was meant to be difficult for you to actually learn to refine what it is that you think love is. Capricorn represents the refinement process. It represents definition. It represents, along with Virgo, but it represents distinction. It represents, now that the rings of Saturn has loosened up and they have disappeared, you're more free to do what it is that you want to do, and all the lanes are open up for you to do that, right? To where this is a real probability, you know, the potential, and there's a lane open for that type of stuff. Me, case in point, me going through my Saturn return in 2015. Prior to 2015, Saturn was essentially kicking my butt. A lot of things was restricted to me, you know, a lot of things. And then only until 2015, or I should say after 2015, going into 2016 now, right, is when I started to actually be like, I can do this, I can do that. And lanes really did start to open up for me. A lot more opportunities. If I wanted to skydive, it was there. If I wanted to go to the range, it was there. Whatever it is that, whatever I wanted to do, the lanes was open up. It's like, okay, now you can do more than what it is that you want to do. So go ahead and have fun. And that's the same situation for you. The rings of Saturn is now open, is now disappeared. So now you can do more of what it is that you want, right? See, Saturn has to be behind rings because Saturn in itself is its own sun. I don't know if people knew this, but Saturn used to be its own solar system. Saturn being the sun or a star. So the thing is that the Seven of Wands and the Four of Wands represents this being a situation for you where you have to also, the Seven of Wands and the Four of Wands, it means that, and there's a lot of enjoyment, there's a lot of passion that's going to come back to you in the year of 2023, as to where maybe the year of 2022 that we're in now may be difficult. The year 2023, which is a couple of days from now, when you really think about it in the greater context of things, and now we're in December as I'm doing this video. It's only a couple of days from now to the point where you're already starting to feel it now, some of you, where you're going to be able to enjoy yourselves even more. That you're going to enjoy yourselves even more, right? More of that that living, that passion, that that carnal, you know what I mean, that desire to be like, let's live and experience. And the thing is that the Five of Pentacles represents now that and enjoy yourself. The Five of Pentacles is one of those cards where it represents arm, leg, arm, head acronym. So it represents physicality, it represents enjoyment, it represents, right? The number five is connected to Leo, right? The Leo force is attention. It also brings joy and the actual partaking in physical reality. And the Five of Pentacles is no different. It represents needing to actually experience and enjoy oneself, right? I can't even explain it in words. This is about you Capricorns. It's a party for you Capricorns to enjoy yourself. It represents it represents learning to get out of the somewhat depressive state that you've been in, and being upset that things don't work out for you. Because, and most people don't know this, but we're actually in a Saturn return right now, and it represents, or we're going into one at the beginning of the year, and that means that it should be considered a joyous one, because what is yet to come, because it means that, again, Saturn is opening up and loosening up and almost disappearing, potentially even disappearing its rings, for that, so that you Capricorns can become more free. Remember, the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn too. Saturn and Uranus are the only two planets in our solar system that have what? Rings. So Saturn is also a form of Uranus, or also a form of Uranus also. You understand? So the thing is that the Ten of Wands and the Chariot represents learning how to put down the things that don't work anymore. The Chariot, learning how to find out who you are, because the Chariot represents learning how to stay still and slow down and enjoy yourself. And it represents those two things, bringing those two things into consideration. It represents the passion that you think that you need to leave behind, or you've left behind, and that you know you've hit a high point and you're like, oh, this is amazing. And then the Chariot also represents learning how to rest, because also too, one of the things of Capricorn is a lot of a lot of Capricorns don't necessarily sleep the best. This also denotes very deep, profound sleep, dreams, right? Astral reality as well, right? So fun. Learning how to enjoy yourself, learning how to enjoy your life, learning to bring meaning back to your life. Let's clarify the Chariot. The Judgment, the Nine of Pentacles, the King of Cups, and the Queen of Cups. The Judgment, learning how to use your own distinction better, learning that Nothing is necessarily meant to be depressed about. Learning that it's up to you, Capricorns, for you to create the importance. And that's where the power is. Ding, ding, ding. You Capricorns, bringing your awareness to understand that parts, bits, and pieces of life that makes up your life is what you bring attention to, and the activities that you get into actively, that you choose to get into. Exactly. The Nine of Pentacles, and you can get whatever it is that you want to get out of it. It just depends on what you choose to get into. Yes. The King of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and ultimately better relationships overall. Just your life in general is going to become better. Generally speaking, over meaning many different things. Relationships is going to become better. Look, King and Queen of Cups facing each other. Dating is going to become better. Your love life is going to become better. Things are about to turn up for what you want. Okay? Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video. Trying to make this YouTube channel 35 to 3,500 subscribers by the end of January. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and set the notification bell to all so you can be notified whenever I drop these videos. Peace.